Guess what today is, Dillon?
It's your birthday.
I was going to say Wednesday, but yeah,
Yeah.
it is also my birthday. How about that? I'm not going to reveal my age.
45.
Much of John Luke will edit that part out. Okay. Welcome in to the DJ Preps Football Preview Show, the last one of 2020. And frankly, I'm just glad we got to do a whole season's worth.
Yeah.
Because, you know, in August, we didn't know if we were going to have anything. So, thank goodness we've made it through this football season. The state championships coming up Friday and Saturday down in Jackson. And before we get moving into the show, just want to once again thank Pizza Doctor, our wonderful sponsor. You can find them in Tupelo, Midtown Pointe. All kinds of great pizzas. We got sausage over there. We got chicken Alfredo here. It's delicious, and the crust is next level. So, thanks to Pizza Doctor for sponsoring the show the entire season. Okay. Let's get into the predictions from last week. That's how we start the show. Last week we predicted 5 games because we had 5 games involving area teams. I had another good week, Dillon. I went 4-1. Mm-hmm. You went 3-2.
Yeah, I'm slumping. I'm in a slump.
Yeah, I'm still a few games back, but you know, at least I'm well over 500.
Yeah.
Not the case a few weeks ago. And also, I had a really close pick as well. I said I picked West Point over Ridgeland 24-22. The final was 29-22. We haven't had very many close picks this year.
I will say, I got pressured into picking Ridgeland last week.
I don't know what you're talking about.
And I shouldn't have done that. So I shouldn't have picked against
I did not use my seniority to pressure you into doing that.
Yes.
Okay. So what we're going to do every week, we look at games to watch. This week we'll, of course, do 4 games. We've got 4 teams playing for state titles in Jackson Friday and Saturday at Mississippi Veterans Memorial Stadium. Of course, they were supposed to be played in Starkville at MSU, but SEC had to scramble its schedule.
And now nobody's playing
And
Starkville.
now they just recently postponed it, but it's too late to change plans, so they're in Jackson. And what we're going to do, we're going to pick those 4. Then we're going to pick 2 bonus games. We'll pick the other 2 championship games that do not involve our area teams, mainly because I trailed Dillon by 6 games, and so I'm going to pick opposite of him every game, and it at least mathematically gives me a chance to catch up. So if I pick against any of our teams, that's why. Trust me. Okay, games to watch. Let's go with in order of when they are being played. As far as the games involving our teams, 3 o'clock on Friday, we've got Biggersville 13-0. In their first state title game appearance, going to take on Lumberton, which is 11-1. And keys to the game, Dillon, key number 1 for Biggersville, just pound away at that defense. That's kind of what they did. That's kind of what they did last week against Nanawaya. But this defense is going to be hard to crack. They've only allowed 79 points in 11 games. They've thrown 5 shutouts. But I feel like Biggersville with Goldman Butler, a big kid like him, and some other guys, maybe they can find some cracks in that defense.
Yeah, I think I've seen them. They covered Biggersville the last 2 weeks, and they've found a way. Butler had 2 touchdowns against Nanawaya last week, Nanawoya last week. Yeah, last week. But you know, he had a good game, but it wasn't up to the standard maybe of what we've seen all year long. But they had Zay Davis, and you know, they've got other weapons like Zion Mays, and Biggersville's found other options outside of Butler that you know, can help them score points, and I don't expect Biggersville to be the 6th shutout for Lumberton.
No, I don't either. Key number 2 for Lumberton, just run behind that massive O-line. Of course, they got Robert Henry, Mr. Football, for the 2nd straight year in 1A, and they got some big boys up front. You're talking 270, 290. They got some 300-plus guys, and this is 1A football. Okay, Biggersville will not be able to match that size, but they were smaller last week.
Yeah, they were wildly outsized last week. Nanawaya had several across their starting 5 offensive linemen, 270, 280 across the board there too, which is really big for a 1A school, for any school really. And Biggersville, man, they were just more physical. They didn't care about the size. They just out-physicaled the 2-time defending state champs and beat them 26-0. So that's
right. heck of a win there. And then finally, key number 3, and always the most important key, don't get shanked. It would damage your chances of winning. Prediction time, of course, you're going to go first every time, so go ahead, Dillon.
Well, you took some slack on Twitter from people. I took it in person as Biggersville held a massive lead last week, and everybody's just screaming from the sidelines like, "Hey, Daily Journal," because they don't know my name because I'm a new guy, and they were
Dillon.
Yes, so they were they were yelling like, "You got this pick wrong," and so I told them, I was like, "I'm happy for you, and I'm not gonna mess it up this week." I think.
And thanks for watching.
Yeah, thanks for watching. Literally, there was a bunch of people from Biggersville saying they were watching, so hopefully they're watching again this week, and hopefully you like this pick. I think it comes down to a 2-point conversion. Goldman Butler gets it in, and they win it. They win it 28-27 over Lumberton.
28-27. Well, obviously, I'm going to have to go the other direction, so don't yell at me this weekend. I'm trying to catch up here in the picks. I mean, I think it will be a really close game, and of course, Robert Henry is one of the best players in the state. Of course, so is Goldman Butler. I mean, two really good running backs right there. But yeah, I mean, the way that Lumberton defense is played, and they got that size on the O-line, I think they'll probably be more physical than Anawarrior was. And so I'll give Lumberton a close win. I'll say 22-20.
Yeah.
There we go. Game number 2, Oak Grove against Oxford in the 6A title game. Both teams come into this game 12-0. In fact, it's the only championship game with 2 undefeated teams in it. Oxford, the defending state champ, they play 7 o'clock Friday. Keys to the game, key number 1, special teams. I mean, Oxford has been very good in that aspect this year. Jack Tannehill, the kicker, he's been money, 15 of 18 on field goals. And he's also a heck of a punter. And Oxford has blocked 5 punts and 1 field goal. I mean, they've got guys that, like a lot of it's from their linebackers, like Tristan Shorter, who had a story on it today's paper. I think he's got a couple blocks. Alex Sanford has made some plays on special teams. So, yeah, that's could be a huge turning point.
They won that Tupelo game with special teams.
Exactly.
Like they win games that way, and so that's why that's a big key. So.
They blocked 2 punts and got a field goal that game. Key number 2 for Oak Grove to stay balanced. They've been very balanced this year. They're averaging 203.4 yards passing per game, 201.8 rushing. I mean, that's 400 plus a game, and you're able to hurt teams with your arm and with your legs. So that's certainly going to test Oxford's defense, which I don't think is quite as good as it was last year, but it's still really, really good. I mean, especially with those linebackers I talked about, and they've created some turnovers this year. I think 33 on the season. So be a good matchup there. And then key number 3, don't get mugged, especially after the game if they take your trophy.
I sense a theme here.
Sense a theme? I try to go with themes, John.
Okay, good. I'm a little slow today, but I'm picking that one up.
Yeah.
Very good. And it's all good advice.
Oh, definitely.
Okay.
Nobody wants to get mugged.
Carry on.
I'm not trying to imply anything about Jackson, Mississippi, or fine state capital.
Or Veterans Memorial Stadium. Whatever.
No, certainly not. Game number 3 in 2A, Taylorsville.
We're going to make predictions on it?
Do we not make a prediction?
No.
John threw me off.
Yay!
Okay, prediction, you go.
Let's see. I wish I wouldn't have even reminded you because I couldn't decide earlier. But I think if there is a key number 4, it's the third quarter. It's what I wrote about last week with Oxford. They've had seven quarters this year where they've scored over 20 points, and like 6 of those came in the third quarter.
Yeah.
So they are very good with halftime adjustments and things. But looking at Oak Grove, and kind of both of them's undefeated, so it's hard to do things, like look at it. But Oak Grove just puts up so much points, like against everybody they've played. They haven't been slowed down all year long. And I just think at the end of the day, Oak Grove gets revenge from last year, and they win at 31-24.
Okay. Well, you know what I say about good offense versus good defense? I'm going to go with good defense. And also, since you picked Oak Grove, I'm going to pick Oxford.
Right.
I think they'll hold them in check a little bit, and I think Jack Tannehill will come through, and he may have more than 1 field goal. You don't know.
Yeah.
So I'll say Oxford wins 25-21. Okay.
Pretty good.
Now we can go to 2A. 3 o'clock on Saturday, we've got Taylorsville against Calhoun City. The Tartars are 11-1. The Wildcats 10-2. Keys to the game. Key number 1 for Calhoun City. Don't let Ty Keys carve you up, which is easier said than done. But this guy has been dynamite for 4 years, except for when he got injured.
Yeah.
That 1 year. But he's just been tearing up defenses for the longest time. He's got 2,867 yards of offense, passing and rushing, 32 touchdowns. He's only thrown 3 picks. He takes care of the ball. And, he's going to get his, I feel like. And they've got a really good running back as well, the Pittman kid.
Jeff Pittman.
Pittman. So, you can't let both of them cut loose.
Yeah, and Pittman's had a good year, too. He's ran for over 1,200 yards and had 20 touchdowns on the year, too.
Yeah.
So he's a man.
Yeah, Calhoun City, though, I thought they did a really good job last week against Colton Plunk. Now, he ended up with 122 yards, but 64 of those came on one carry in the fourth quarter. So on the whole, they really and he's a big kid, hard to tackle. So I feel like maybe maybe they can handle Pittman a little bit. Key number 2 for Taylorsville: keep a close eye on Thomas Clayton. He's kind of He's kind of Calhoun City's utility belt, if you will. He can catch it, he can run it, he can throw it. And last week he had the go-ahead touchdown. The game was tied at 14, and he caught a little bubble screen and raced 45, 46 yards down the field. And he's that guy, you never know when it's going to happen. They're going to find a way to get him the ball, and he can really make stuff happen in the open field. So Taylorsville needs to not let him get loose. And then key number 3, don't get jumped. Walk in packs. Head on a swivel. Okay, predictions. Go ahead.
And looking at it, both being in 2A, both teams aren't what you would normally see in 2A. When you look at their schedules, they both play up in their non-division. Taylorsville played Jackson Prep, and Taylorsville's only loss of the year came to West Jones, which is a team we'll talk about in a minute.
Yeah.
So that should tell you something. All you need to know. And Calhoun City lost their 2 first games of the year to North Panola and Choctaw County, and then have won 10 straight now. So I just think when you look at it, Taylorsville is just so loaded with at the skills positions and things, and they've put up points on everybody too, and I just think it's going to translate in Jackson. And I got Taylorsville 42-21.
Well, I like Calhoun City's defense. I think maybe they can slow the run game. And I don't know. I just have a feeling maybe they're good at getting turnovers as well, just like Oxford. And one kid, Jerron Thompson, had 3 by himself last week.
Right.
2 picks and a fumble recovery. I think maybe they get a couple, 2 or 3 picks off Ty Keys. Who knows? Maybe a fumble or 2 as well. So I'll say Calhoun City ekes it out, 27-26.
There you go.
Okay. What we got next? We got West Jones and West Pointe, the 5A title game. Or remember when we thought a few weeks ago that maybe West Pointe wasn't even going to reach the title game? That was funny.
Yeah.
West Pointe has been fine since losing 2 in a row. 10-3 overall. West Jones is 12-2. 7 o'clock Saturday night is the final game of championship weekend. Keys to the game. Number 1 for West Pointe, get to the quarterback because he will throw some interceptions. Now, I don't have up-to-date stats on West Jones yet, but the ones that they did have, the INT numbers were not good for their quarterback. And West Pointe is good at getting to the quarterback. They've got 32 sacks on the year, 78 quarterback hurries. They got guys like Keon Cunningham at linebacker, Jaquarius Thomas at defensive end, and some others that can make life a living hell for quarterbacks. So that's a big key for that defense. Key number 2 for West Jones, just try to forget that you're playing West Pointe.
So that's something a lot of teams can't get over.
I know, it's the name on the jersey, and it's a real thing. It's a mental hurdle.
And when you think about West Jones, first time they ever played in a state championship was 2018. They lost to West Pointe. 27-12. So, there's seniors on that team this year that remember that loss and remember how we're playing West Pointe.
Right.
And here we go again. So that's an important thing. You got to get over the name on the jersey and just play and feel like you're the better team. But we'll see.
All right. And then key number 3, don't get shot.
Wow.
I went there. Okay, prediction time. Go ahead.
I think we just mentioned it, man. I think that name cachet with West Pointe, and we've said it week 1 we were never going to pick against West Pointe, and I'm going to make you have to pick against West Pointe because I think they get 5 in a row. I think they won the state title last week beating Ridgeland. I really do, and so I've got West Pointe 28-17.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you're right, but in keeping with the theme, I'm going to pick against you. So, West Jones, they get their revenge. They find a way. West Pointe's lost 3 times this year. So it's possible.
It's conceivable.
And West Jones does have a giant Mustang statue on top of the press box of their stadium. So maybe there's some magic in there.
And shout out Kelby Johnson, who's a West Jones alum.
Oh, that's right, he is.
He went down there for their South State Championship.
That's what's
week.
wrong with him.
Yeah.
Okay, West Jones, I'll say 21-20.
There you go.
Okay. And now time for the bonus predictions. The 3A game, Magee 11-0 against Noxubee County, 10-1, 11 o'clock Friday. Go.
You look at it, Noxubee County, 5 state championships since 2008. The only loss of the year is to West Pointe, and they beat Winona 50-7 last week. who put out Amory. I got Noxubee in a blowout, 48-14.
Yeah, I wanted to pick Noxubee, but you're gonna make me pick Magee.
Hey,
Which
they
I know
got Mr.
nothing.
Football.
I know nothing about Magee.
They got Chandler Pittman, quarterback, Mr. Football.
Oh yeah, I do know.
Yeah.
I know about him.
They're undefeated, 11-0. I
know.
just think Noxubee County.
Okay, well, Chandler Pittman's going to have a huge game, 500 yards of offense. Magee is going to pull it out 31-28.
There you go.
All right, finally, the last game in 4A, Poplarville, 10-3 against Louisville, 12-1, 11 o'clock Saturday morning.
Poplarville was a 4A state runner-up last year to Corinth. Got popped in that state championship game. Corinth. Louisville does not have the offense that Corinth had last year, but that defense is very good. They've only, the highest total this year, Starkville beat them. The only game they lost, 24 points. They go to Starkville, and they've beat everybody else and basically held everybody under 6 points, 8 points, something like that.
Ty Cooper is a man.
And yeah, he's Poplarville's not gonna be able to block him because nobody's been able to block him. And I just think Louisville wins. They don't score a lot. They win tight, low-scoring games. So I got the Wildcats 21-13. And Tyrone Shorter, former Noxubee County coach, is at Louisville. State championship level coach, state championship level team. So there it is.
All right, well, yeah, I like Louisville's defense a lot too, but I guess I'll have to go with Poplarville. But I think it will be low scoring. I agree with you there. I'll say Poplarville 20-18.
There you go.
Get that elusive title that you didn't get last year. All right, those are our predictions. We'll see if I can at least tie Dillon in the standings here, because this is the last time we'll make picks. Of course, we don't have a show next week, so I'll just put it out on Twitter if I do tie him. If I don't, I won't say anything.
I'll put it out there. Follow me.
Double Trouble Award. This one goes out to Golden and Butler and Zay Davis of Biggersville in that 26-0 win over Nanawalia last week in the 1A North Final. Butler, the running back, had 105 yards and 2 touchdowns from 23 carries. Davis, normally a wide receiver, got a lot of time in the backfield. 10 carries, 128 yards. He also had 2 touchdowns. And so, yeah, that I think you might see that approach again this week.
I do. I think they line up in the same sets. I think they showed Nanawalia last week and try to do that again. So.
All right, well, that's it for this episode of the DJ Preps Football Preview Show. That's it for this season of the show. Thank you to everybody for tuning in throughout the season and for your feedback, especially yelling at Dillon. Thank you to our sponsor, of course, Pizza Doctor, Midtown Pointe and Tupelo. Great stuff over there. Just go check them out. And got to plug the podcast. We got another one coming out today, Prep Rally. It's you can find it online at preprally.djournal.com or on iTunes or any podcast app, just about any podcast app. Follow us on Twitter at djournalpreps. He's on there at Dillon Barnes DJ. I am on there at Brad Locke. Again, it's my birthday. Send me money.